Hey, fellow mathematicians. Welcome to the podcast where math is figure-outable. I'm Pam Harris.
And I'm Kim Montague, and we're here to suggest that mathematizing is about thinking and reasoning. It's about creating and using mental relationships.
We answer the question, if not algorithms, then what?
In last week's podcast, we shared one cool thing that mathy people do. Today, we'd like to talk about a few more.
Yeah, we'd like to share 3 things that we found that mathy people do. So, number 1, they notice and wonder. Number 2, they double numbers, and alternatively, they have numbers. And number 3, when they come upon a problem, they see what they can do, the relationships they can mess with, before they ever think about picking up a calculator.
Now, to be clear, when we say mathy people, we mean that everyone can. But some of us have that friend who enjoys messing around with number, who plays around and talks about math like it's fun, like it's a puzzle.
And so the point is, when you typically think of a mathy person, what they do, how they think, we want to sort of share some of those things today, because then we can all become mathy people. We don't think that that there's a math gene, only certain people can do it. All people can be, but we need to know what those things are so that we can develop them, and then we all can sort of be that mathy person. So what are those things? All right, so Kim, I want you to start us off today. Do you remember telling me, actually you were asking me about when I go jogging or when I'm in the grocery store?
Yeah, I remember asking you, do you not mess with numbers at all? Like when you're jogging, you don't look at the house numbers and kind of consider like if it's prime or composite or like what the double of it would be, or, you know, like how much of a percentage of the time that you've been running. Or like when you're at the grocery store, you don't consider the price per item or how many pounds you can get for $5. Like none of that comes to mind.
I mean, I would look at the thing on the grocery store deal to, where it tells me the price per ounce or whatever. Or every once in a while, if it wasn't there, if the tag wasn't there, I could figure price per ounce. But I always figured the unit rate. I never did anything else to compare that unit rate. So Kim, no, because I didn't own anything. I didn't have relationships in my head. It was so funny to me that day because you looked at me like, don't you do that? Like everyone does that. And I kind of had to, I was chagrined a little bit. I had kind of had to admit, but I had to think about why I didn't. I had to think about it for a while. And I came to the conclusion that you had so many more, and this is a while ago before I had, at that point where I had little numeracy, you had so many more connections in your head, so many more mental relationships that it was fun for you to play with. I didn't have anything yet. You have to have stuff in order to play with it.
Yeah.
So another one of my favorite stories that you've talked about is with you and your boys, and you guys were driving. Do you remember that one?
So I wonder a lot, right? Like when I'm running or whatever. And because I wonder a lot, I feel like I also do it aloud in front of my kids. And ever since they were little, we've played what apparently they call the Wonder Game. Only I didn't know that that's what they called it. One night we were driving to my husband's station, and my youngest said, "Hey, let's play the Wonder Game." And I said, "What are you talking about?" And he said, where we just kind of wonder aloud about 3 things, and then we pick one and solve it. And I didn't realize that it was a game to them, but apparently it was.
And when you told me about that, I thought it was brilliant. I was like, obviously, you have had this sort of tradition that you wonder aloud, and your kids pick up on that. I hear what you're wondering about. And then you kind of choose one that sounds fun, and you guys sort of solve it together. And so they like, that was a thing to them. Yeah. So that's noteworthy that mathy people notice and wonder about a lot. And so if we can show people that that's a thing, we can help create that in other people.
Yeah. So noticing and wondering is one thing. What's another?
So I learned that another thing that mathy people do is they mess with doubles. They mess with doubles of numbers. So when I dove into the research about how we could teach elementary math better, I was messing with sort of single digit doubles. And I was learning that those were really helpful. I learned that kids can think about a most missed fact like 7 plus 8 by thinking about 7 plus 7, which a lot of kids know. It's funny, they don't know 7 plus 8, but they know 7 plus 7. So if they know 7 plus 7, then they can use that to help them think about 7 plus 8, or they could use 8 plus 8 to help them get one less to get 7 plus 8. And so I was sort of learning that was a thing. One day I was given a pre-cal workshop. So I'm a T-Cube instructor. I talk about the power of technology. And we were messing around with these gnarly functions in pre-calculus. We were using graphing technology to mess with them. And I just said something. I said, "Hey, did you guys know like the doubles are important? That like I guess it's like a thing that for kids to know doubles." And his teacher in the back goes, "Oh yeah, like double 35." And I was like, 35? Like it kind of blew my mind a little bit because I was totally just thinking about single digit numbers and their doubles. And she said, "Oh, yeah, double 35 shows up everywhere." And I kind of looked at her and she goes, like double 3.5 is 7, double 35 is 70, double 350 is 750, 700. And I was like, I mean, yeah, I get. Well, so interesting. I began to own that double. Oh my gosh, double 35 shows up everywhere. Like there are tons of times where if I recognize that double of 35, I can use it in a problem. So double with your kids. A thing that you can do to help create mathematicians in your personal kids or your students is to just randomly throw out a number and then mess with the doubles. You can ask your kids, how did you find that double? So Kim, we'll play along with me a little bit here. If I were to
Okay.
say the number 7, what's the double of 7?
14.
Well, what about double 14?
28.
All right. How about double 28?
Oh gosh, 56.
Totally. So that's a noteworthy sequence that I might ask kids because now they have a strategy for figuring 7 times 8. If I can think about 8 sevens, I just said double 7, so now you have 2 sevens is 14, and then double that 14, now you have 4 sevens is 28, and then double that 28 to 56. If your kids are used to doing that double, and they don't know 7 times 8, they could quickly do some doubling, and then have one of the most missed multiplication facts. So Kim, double, I don't know, 21.
42.
I mean, and that's a pretty easy one, right? Almost everybody can
Yeah.
double 21. But brilliantly, that's a strategy for another most missed multiplication fact. If I don't know 6 times 7, 6 sevens, but I know 3 sevens is 21, double that 21 to get 42, and bam, you've got 6 sevens. So there's some really nice applications to knowing doubles. Let's get a little bit more random though. Like I could have some random numbers like double 17. What's double 17?
34.
Hey, how do you think about that? Do you just know double 17 or do you actually think about it?
Actually, no, I thought about double 15 plus 4 more. So double
Because
15 plus double 2.
because 17 is 15 and 2. And so if you double those pieces, then you can add them together. Nice. What if I ask you another random number like, I don't know, 49?
98.
How do you do that
And
one?
that was double 50 subtract 2.
Whoa, a little bit of an over strategy
Yeah.
there. You're thinking about 49 as 50, double 50 is 100, but 49 is one less than that. We have to double it, right? So, okay, cool. So double 49 is 98. Let's see, one more random one. How about double 36?
72.
Okay, how'd you do that one?
I doubled 30 and doubled 6.
Which is a
So
real
60
typical
and 12.
strategy that kids will often use, right? Could you have also doubled 35? Oh, there's that 35 I was talking about. So 35 doubled is 70. So 36 doubled is going to be 72.
Yep.
So part of what you want to do is not just ask kids the double, but then ask them how they're thinking about it and then share how they're thinking about it. It's kind of a mini number talk. We're kind of like talking about how we think about doubling problems.
Yeah. So
Super.
doubling super important, but you know what else is really great? You can halve numbers as well. It's a thing to find out how to half of a number. Double with your kids, and then throw out a number and work on halving as well. You can ask half of 16 or 27 or 150. How about if I give you some numbers to have?
Woo. Okay, go for it.
Okay, ready? What is half of 64?
32.
What about half of 72?
36. That one I just know.
Yeah. How do you know that one?
I've just dealt with doubling 36 so often that now I just sort of own double 36 half of 72. But when you asked me 64, I actually thought about having 60 and having 4. That's how I have that one. All right, give me one more.
Half of, here we go. Half of 336.
Let's see. That would be 150 and 18 is 168.
Oh, and I just heard you talk about how you did it.
Sure enough. So I did half of 300 is 150, and then half of 36, because you had 336, half of 36 is 18. So 150 and 18 is 168. And you might be interested to know, friends out there, that I actually wrote down the number 336. and then I just wrote down 168. But you heard how I was thinking about 168. It is totally legal that when kids are finding doubles and finding halves, that for them to keep track of their mental thinking. It's okay for them to just sketch a number down, even if it's just the number itself, can be really helpful in helping kids focus on the number they're doubling or the number that they're having. So it doesn't all have to be without writing something down. We'll talk more about that in a future episode, because both Kim and I feel really strongly about the use of paper and pencil judiciously when kids are working, that it doesn't have to be that you do it all without writing stuff down. So just a note there. All right, so to recap, we want you to notice and wonder and help your students realize that it's a thing to notice and wonder, and also to double numbers and have numbers. And the last thing we're going to talk about today is your disposition towards math problems. So, Kim, when you enter a math problem, or really any problem, is your first instinct to grab a calculator? Like, what's going on in your head?
Oh, no. So my honest answer would be, do I have an opportunity to do some thinking? If somebody asks me a problem, my natural inclination is to think about the numbers and to mess around a little bit. I want to see what I can come up with on my own before I ever grab for a calculator.
And y'all, there are other people like that. That's why I created the hashtag Math-Strat-Chat. It's a place where we can play with numbers and find enjoyment in playing around with numbers. So I'm going to shout out to Steve Hammond. He is the husband of a gal on my team. He's not a math teacher at all, but he enjoys messing with numbers. So he joins us on Facebook when I throw out a Math-Strat-Chat question, and we chat about it with the world to see how everybody's brain's thinking about it. And sure enough, Steve will show up and he'll have some great strategy. Now, sometimes it's not the main strategies that we sort of advocate we teach kids, because he's just kind of messing around in his own head. And y'all, there are people out there that do that. And what we'd like to share with you in this podcast is we can all start to do that. We can all start to do this bit where when we run into numbers, a math problem, we can say to ourselves, how would I tinker with that? Is there something I could play with those relationships to be able to find the answer? Steve obviously has a calculator in front of him. He doesn't teach math. There's no real reason for him to play with numbers except for the pure enjoyment of it. And it can be fun when we own enough relationships to play with.
So if you're interested in becoming a little bit more mathy, you can notice and wonder. You can double numbers and half numbers. And when you come across a problem, instead of grabbing for a calculator, you can see what you can do before then.
Yeah, excellent. So do you know somebody who plays with number? Who are the mathy people in your life? We want to hear about them.
Yeah.
We are inviting you to tell us about a friend who does mathy things, and we'll give them a shout out on a future episode. Also, if you'll like the podcast and give us a review, we'd appreciate it. That can help people find the podcast. We'd love to have you join us on Math-Strat-Chat, where you can hang out with other mathy people as they solve problems for fun. Check us out on our website at mathisfigureoutable.com. If you're interested to learn more math and you want to help students become mathematicians, then the Math is Figureoutable podcast is for you, because math is figureoutable.